Once upon a time in London, there lived a family called the Darlings. The family consisted of Mr. and Mrs. Darling and their three children, Wendy, John, and Michael. The children were cared for by a loving nurse, who was actually a big, friendly dog named Nana. Wendy, the eldest, often told her brothers stories of Peter Pan, a mischievous boy who never grew up and lived in a faraway place called Neverland. Little did they know that Peter Pan was real and often visited their home to listen to Wendy's stories. One night, as the children were fast asleep, Peter Pan flew into their nursery with his tiny, bright friend, Tinkerbell, a fairy. He had come to retrieve his shadow, which he had accidentally left behind on a previous visit. Wendy woke up and helped Peter sew his shadow back on. Grateful, Peter invited Wendy and her brothers to come to Neverland, where they could experience endless adventures and never grow up. With a sprinkle of Tinkerbell's pixie dust and a happy thought, Wendy, John, and Michael found themselves flying high above the rooftops of London, heading towards the second star to the right and straight on till morning. They soon arrived in Neverland, a magical island full of wonders, where they were greeted by Peter's group of loyal friends, the Lost Boys. Neverland was a place of perpetual childhood and excitement, but it was also home to dangers. The island was inhabited by mermaids, fairies, and the dreaded pirates led by Captainhook, Peter Pan's arch-enemy. Captainhook was a fearsome pirate with a hook for a hand, which Peter had cut off and fed to a crocodile during one of their many battles. This crocodile had developed a taste for Hook and followed him everywhere, hoping to eat the rest of him, ticking loudly from the clock it had swallowed along with Hook's hand. Peter Pan and the Darling children had many adventures in Neverland. They visited the Mermaid Lagoon, encountered the Native American tribe led by the wise Tiger Lily, and fought off Captain Hook and his crew time and time again. Peter's courage and quick thinking always seemed to outmatch the cunning Captain Hook, much to Hook's frustration. Wendy became like a mother to the Lost Boys, telling them stories and taking care of them. However, not all was well, as Tinkerbell became jealous of Wendy and tricked the Lost Boys into shooting her down with an arrow, thinking she was a bird. Fortunately, Wendy survived, and Tinkerbell realized the error of her ways, apologizing and helping to save Wendy from other dangers. One day, Captain Hook captured Wendy, John, Michael, and the Lost Boys. He took them to his ship, the Jolly Roger, planning to make them walk the plank. Peter Pan, with the help of Tinkerbell and the faithful crocodile, launched a daring rescue. Peter fought Captain Hook in an epic duel, which ended with Hook being chased away by the crocodile. After the rescue, Wendy realized that she and her brothers missed their parents and the comfort of home. Peter offered to let them stay in Neverland, but Wendy knew they couldn't stay forever. With a heavy heart, she asked Peter to take them back to London. Peter flew Wendy, John, and Michael back to the nursery of their home, where their worried parents were overjoyed to see them. Mr. and Mrs. Darling offered to adopt Peter and the Lost Boys, so they could have a family too, but Peter refused. He chose to return to Neverland, where he could remain a boy forever and continue having adventures. As time passed, Wendy grew up and had children of her own, but she never forgot Peter Pan or the magical adventures in Neverland. Peter occasionally visited her, but each time she was a little older. Eventually, he met Wendy's daughter Jane and took her on adventures just as he had done with her mother. And so, Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up, continued to fly through the skies of Neverland, living a life of endless adventure, while Wendy, John, Michael, and the Lost Boys cherished the memories of their time with Peter, knowing they would always carry a piece of Neverland in their hearts. The end.